program focusing on uniting and strengthening the family by providing valuable information on all facets of family life. In this monthly series, Raymond and Brenda Johnson will focus on the definition and importance of family. Hello and welcome to Family Matters. I'm Kyle Schwartz and we have our regular guests back, Reverend Raymond and Brenda Johnson, to talk about blended families. We started this discussion last month, but there's a lot to talk about there, a lot of areas. Today we're going to focus more on the children themselves in blended families. So welcome back to our show.
Yes, thank you for having us. Yeah, as you said, we're going to talk about the blended families more. We sort of set it up last time. And the one thing I said about the blended family is the thought that just bringing people together and that it's going to work is like just throwing all the ingredients for a cake into the pan and stick it in the oven and hope a cake comes out right. That's not likely to happen. Well, when we talk about it, you look at it from the adult perspective. They're thinking about their life and how they're trying to move on, but it can be very stressful. Not can be, you can count on it being very stressful for the children that are coming, especially as they start getting where they understand more. If they're 8, 10, 12, they start understanding. So there's a lot of challenges that come into that. And because of that, when people are considering getting married and blending a family, as it were, they really need to look at it. Might take you 2-3 years before you would really want to get married even.
That's the realistic way to look at it.
Realistic, but we know that people don't do that, right? Because they're thinking about themselves. So we really want to look at, you got to really have guidelines. One of the things we talk about a lot in all families, not just blended family, is the importance of family meetings. So if you have these two people that are thinking about coming together, if both have children or one have children, we would suggest they would start having family meetings, because your key is going to be communication. Open communication with the children, age-appropriate communication of what mom and dad are thinking about doing, and start talking about how that's going to affect their lives, because it's going to create stress. And then that would allow the parents, independent, whether one or both, it would allow them to start then privately answering questions that their children would have when
came out of this
out of these family meetings. So I don't know, what's your thoughts on that?
Because it also gives the children an opportunity gives them a voice. It gives them an opportunity to say, well, are we going to have to change schools? Or am I going to have my own room? And they'll bring up their concerns, and they'll feel like they're a part of it. They'll feel like they have a voice. And you don't want the children to be silently suffering and wondering what's going to happen, because it does create stress. And then they can be very unsettled. Their grades may start to drop. You'll see changes in their attitude. The things they used to like to do, they don't like to do anymore. And then if you just question them on the spot, it's different than actually sitting down and saying, this is a meeting just for you, and we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
So it's important.
I'm just the type of person that likes a specific format. Is there like online, or do you guys deal with like a specific, set of questions that maybe spur on, these conversations with children?
Yeah, and with children, a lot of times it's hard to get them talking, right? But you have to be able to ask them those feeling questions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With children, you have to be able to pull out of them, how does this make you feel that mommy is getting ready to marry John or thinking about marrying John? When you hear that, how do you feel? And then maybe throw out some feeling words to them. Does it make you anxious? Are you wondering about things? Is it creating what we would call stress? Talk to me about your feelings, because children are not necessarily good at articulating, putting it into words, but they can talk about their feelings. They can talk about they feel sad. You know what I mean? I understand, Mom, that you're talking about marrying John, but I'm sad because is he going to replace Dad? See, those are the kind of questions. They'll say, well, I'm sad. Well, why are you sad? What is it about this that's making you sad? Is it that you don't like John? No, it's not. You know what I mean?
Right,
So you
right.
have to ask those kind of questions.
Okay.
Yeah, and it needs to take place over a period of time.
Right. You
time.
can't do this
One
all
or
in one
two
meeting.
meetings
No.
is
Done.
not going to do it. No, it needs
That's
to be
not
an
gonna-
ongoing time where they know that if a question arises, oh, I'm going to ask this in the family meeting, because everything's not going to come up in the first couple meetings.
And it must make them feel so important that they're a part of that meeting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
that their feelings matter. Right.
Yes.
Yes.
And then it's about starting to build the relationship with the other person, you know, to be able to talk to them. Because a lot of times the other person, whether it's the man or the woman, they'll have to be sort of a counselor type, you know, like the coach type
Yeah.
relationship in the beginning. And the thing that we find that's very important for the adult to emphasize is they have to make what's important to that child important to them.
Right.
So if it's a little girl that's taking dance lessons, it's important that you show up at dance lessons. If it's a little boy that's playing baseball, it's important maybe you volunteer to be a coach or, you know, to start getting involved in their life, because the goal is to try to make their life remain as normal as possible, because there's already going to be a lot of upheaval, right?
Changes. So what you
Changes.
can keep the same.
As
is
much
probably
as
helpful.
possible, try to
Yes.
keep it the same as your thoughts
Right,
are.
and children want to know that they're loved. They want to feel safe and secure, and they can feel uneasy when all of these changes are going on. And it's important to make sure that they feel security in the changes that are going to be made, and that they're still going to have access to both sides of the family. They're still going to have access to both parents, that it's not their fault. That's one of the biggies for children aged usually around 5 to 12. They think that it's their fault that this change is taking place. Or I even read something where one child expressed that, okay, me and mom were best friends, and now mom has a guy,
friend.
so she treated me like an adult, like her buddy, but when she got this guy, now she treats me like a kid again, and I don't understand what's going on. So it's important for them to be able to express, and for the parents to tell the children that it's not your fault that our lives have changed, and explain to them that relationships change and there's challenges, and sometimes those challenges bring on changes.
Okay.
And another challenge that happens is discipline. How are the children going to be disciplined?
Right.
Well, in the beginning, especially because people receive discipline, as it were, even as adults, based on relationship. Once we have established the proper relationship, then I'll listen. Because if we have the proper relationship, I understand that this person has my best interest, just like my mother, just like my father. Well, it's going to take time to build a relationship to that point. So if it's mom, for example, she may have to be the one that's going to initiate, or I guess you say delve out the punishment. But
Right.
what's important is that it's done in agreement.
Okay.
John and I have talked. So, you know, so we're sitting here and you're the child. So we're in this together. He's not in another room. And now, because here's what happens in a lot of blended families. If they don't see that we are in agreement, they will play the ends against the middle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
I mean,
children
that's
do
not
that.
only in blended families.
No, that's
but
in all.
everything. So
That's in all
right,
families.
Right.
Right.
And so that will be an important piece of it in the disciplining, that I'm saying this is what we have decided.
And I think the other thing that you mentioned about it's going to take time for them to listen, but it takes time. I don't think you can just go in there and think that they will respect you immediately. You know, they have to, that has to build the respect part of it
Yes,
as well.
absolutely.
Yes.
See, and the respect is going to move from different positions. You're going to respect this person because they're an adult, and I'm teaching you to respect adults. So you're going to respect them on that level at first.
Right.
But then once you start getting in relationship and finding out that they have your best interest, you're not telling the child this, but
Right.
as they find out this person has my best interest, they actually, however they want to define, love my mother, love my father, then they're going to start respecting them because of who they are to them. But initially, we're going to respect each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's important. Yeah.
Right, right. And the parents also have to be patient. They can't go in right away and decide that, okay, now we have these new guidelines, especially when there's other children mixing together. We have these new guidelines, and everybody's going to remember them right away. The parents have to be patient and give them time to get used to the routine. So the discipline shouldn't come on hard and fast.
Right.
They should be given time to get used to the new situation, the new guidelines, and you may need to hold back on some of your discipline right at the beginning and give them time to just get into the flow of this new household.
Because a child, whether it's a single parent getting married, and in a case of divorce getting married, they're looking for security. They want to be safe and secure because their parents had told them, oh, you're going to be safe and secure. Now, now they're divorced, right? And now they're thinking, wow, what's going to happen if now you guys are getting together?
Right.
And you told me this before, right? So it starts becoming even between mom and children when they're age appropriate. Yeah, you told me that before, and you and dad. How am I supposed to know it's going to be different?
This time.
That it's
Right.
going to be different this
Right.
time.
Right.
But children need to be loved, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's important also to have those that support your family to be a part of it also, like the grandparents. The grandparents don't have a direct say in as far as how you're going to run your household, but they're your support system. So I think it's important for you to at least, the parents to brief the grandparents, especially if they spend a lot of time
Right.
with them. They should brief them on how they're going to help the children transition so that they can also buy into this, because you don't want to go to a grandparent's home and all they do is say,
Unravel everything. that you
unravel
do.
everything.
Yeah.
They have a negative attitude about the new woman or the new man, and you don't want that to happen, because that'll bring confusion and chaos to the children also, and the parents will be wondering, well, I wonder what's wrong. We explained this to them, but then they're getting another view from some people that they love very much, and they value grandparents' opinions also. So it's important for you to get your support system to buy into, let's help, can you help me help our children? Help us. You can even have teachers or counselors made aware that our family is
That's a good
going
idea.
through a transition right now. So I would like for my student to talk to you more often, maybe over the coming months. And maybe I'll inform my student that I've shared this with the counseling team or whatever, so that you can have support all around the children. That's very important.
Because I've seen situations where a child has come in and ends up not being healthy. So then they're at school acting out, and then
Right. But the teacher had no idea
they
what was
had no
going on at
idea,
home.
the administration had no idea, like, wait a minute, this was a good child and they were doing fine. What happened all of a sudden that they're acting out? I think another important point that we got to make about when dealing with children, we have to make sure, there's a tendency to focus on the negative. Tendency to focus on, this is what you're going to do, and when you don't do it, you know what I mean, I'm going to get on them. But we got to look for small victories and encourage them. Man, I really appreciate the way that you spoke to John, and and how you treated her, and I really appreciate that, because we know that encouragement is going to fuel. We have a saying, whatever you focus on is going to expand. So if you focus on the negative and focus on, you didn't do this, you spoke to her wrong, I don't want you, that's going to expand.
Right.
But if you focus on their small victories, then they're also going to be open to listen, right? To listen when you have to give them some negative criticism.
Comments. Okay.
Yes, and one more thing I want to add, to encourage families is that often they can't do this on their own. And we're talking about, and we're giving them strategies now, but some families just can't do it on their
Exactly.
own. And it's important to reach out to help, to get help, whether it's counseling through, some type of family counseling or therapist or whatever may be necessary. A lot of people are embarrassed to go and seek help when it comes to their family personal matters, but it's important for them to understand that there's help available. There's so much out there that's available, and you should get help if you can't seem to get the meetings going and it just doesn't work. Rather than just abandon,
Just drop it, yeah.
Right, yeah.
get the help. It's
And,
available.
and that's one of the services that we offer, here locally, whether it's family, whether it's the individuals, because someone needs to sometimes be the mediator and the voice for the child. And because even though the mother might be trying to talk to them, the father, they'll talk to a person,
A stranger.
a stranger
Yeah.
that has no,
Connection to their
connection
family.
to them.
Yes,
And they'll
yes.
talk to them and they'll talk about their emotions and how they're feeling. And then what we're able to do and what that professional is able to do is able to articulate that to the parents. This is what they were feeling, because I'm going to ask them these feelings. This is what they were feeling. And as we talked about this is what they mean by that feeling.
Yeah.
Because a child can say they're sad, they're mad, whatever emotion, but they might not be able to put words to it. So it's very important to get help.
Yes.
So that's important to do that. And we want to make sure that they're encouraged, that they feel valued, that they're not being lost in the shuffle, that mom, and if dad's available, in the case of both parents, both of your parents love you, you're going to now have an additional person
In
to
your life
support
to
you
love and
in your
support.
life. Because I've seen it where it's been very successful, and a child will refer to, I have two moms, I have two dads. Well, that's the ultimate right to get to, right?
Yeah.
It's not the evil stepmother,
Right, right.
and my good mom.
Right.
So those are some of the things. Anything
Yeah,
else?
plus someone else to pick you up from practice.
Yeah.
Well, the mom or dad will appreciate that.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
for
Yes.
sure.
All right, so again, you mentioned that if parents needed help, they can reach out. So how do they reach you again? Tell us your website and phone number.
Well, the phone number is area code 313.
330.
Oh, area code 330.
You live too many
Yeah,
places.
too many places. 330-913-7007. They can contact us by calling there and leaving a message, contact information. Then they can also email us at contact@sofccoh.org. That's contact@sofccoh.org. They can contact us that way and log on to our website if they want, spiritoffaithoh.org, and they'll see the contact information there. This is a subject that is a large, it's just a big subject, and there's so much involved in it, and it can be so
Overwhelming.
overwhelming
I would
would be a
think.
good word. It can be very overwhelming. But one thing that we can't do is think that you're going to ignore it and it's going to go away. You can't ignore it and it's going to go away. We had mentioned before that the statistics now are right around 50% of our families are blended families. So that is becoming our new normal. And the additional stress, if it's a situation where his parents divorce, I mentioned a statistic that said 45% of the children 3 years after divorce are still not okay, still suffering from the stress of their parents breaking up. That's why we said ideal scenario is understand these things and give it time rather than jumping from one relationship
to
into another. That's just going to, as they say, fuel to the fire.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, well, thank you once again for being with us, and we look forward to, we're going to expand on this next month or a different topic.
We think we're going to move to a different topic,
Okay.
maybe go into marriage.
Okay, all right, great. Well, thank you for being with us
Thank
again.
you for having me.
Thank you for watching Family Matters. I'm Kyle Schwartz.